Say what you want me to, show me something else.
Hello guys, here is a PvP commentary, and it's the first of many to come. I thought in this commentary I would highlight how to fight a DK properly, and how I like to fight DKs with this build. So as you can see there, I engage with DK here, and right off the bat I noticed he's wearing the Potentiate set and the Bloodspawn 2-piece, so I know he's going to be dropping ults on me like crazy. He opens up with a standard, and the first thing that I do is I roll up to the top of his standard, then back through it. I want to make him move around, as I know that it's going to be tough to burn his resources with the amount of ults that he's going to pop. So I'm doing my best to kite him. You also notice there that I dropped a Caltrops field on his standard as well, and I'm not sitting in any of the AoEs that he puts down. I shoot a couple arrows into the Templar there, but I realize that he's not aggressive to me, and I continue to go to fight this DK. So again, I'm sitting outside of his Cinderstorm as best I can, jumping in for that damage. I want to keep the pressure on him, as I do know that burning his stamina will be tough. He drops another Bat Swarm on me right away, so I pop my potion, and I Blazing Shield tank his Bat Swarm. It works pretty well for me. I think he's identified as well that dropping a standard isn't going to be a good way to deal damage to me, as I will move out of it fairly quickly. So I'm trying to rotate around him as best I can here, keeping Caltrops fields on him as often as possible too. Now, the biggest thing that you have to remember in fights against DKs, especially ones that are built like this, is that it's not going to be a quick fight, because he is going to have an incredible amount of resources coming in, much more than I do, and I'm just going to have to sit back, maintain my resources, and burn that stamina bar before I can really work at his health bar. I'm not a Magicka-based build, so I can't just sit there and spam Blazing Shields and hope that he'll blow himself up. But he's a really good player too. This is one of the best DK fights that I've had open world, and he's not about to just sit in my Blazing Shields anyway. So I do manage to drop Cals on his Cinderstorm there, and I end up backing up into the guards, which doesn't go good for me. And I know that he's got another Bat Swarm coming up just around the corner. I'm doing my best to not let him hit me, to kite around as much as possible, to break those Talons when they drop on me, because I don't want him building ult on me, because that will just make the fight harder and harder for me. But with the guards, it's a little bit much, and I end up backing up, and I throw down the Cal field, and it actually manages to de-aggro the guards from me, and I get away from them, which is really good. And I continue to fight this DK, and he's just working at me. I'm paying careful attention to my resources. I'm weaving in heavy attacks as often as I can. I want to keep my stamina up. I don't want to let him CC me, because that will be the end of the fight. When my immovable drops, I do my best to get behind him. He does catch me a few times with my immovable down, and I'm not using my immovable right away. The reason that I'm waiting is just simply so I don't have to blow the stamina of using it instantly afterwards. He is doing a decent amount of damage to me, but I'm managing to kite most of it. And he's ending up using a lot of gap closers on me as well. And as you can see, he's doing a paramount job with his resources. Also, I'm having a really hard time draining his stamina. You did see me get one stun in there, but he CC broke it right away, so I must have caught him in a weapon swap or something. And you see me working at him with my bow whenever those scales are down. I want to prompt that scales proc, and as soon as I see it go back up, I turn back in with my greatsword. Now at this point, you see when I'm closing gaps towards him, I'm doing my best to sit behind him. And the reason I want to get behind him is because it makes me much more difficult to target, and I'm a little bit more annoying that way, and he can't land whips or anything on me as easily as possible. And I'm also doing my best to keep my Caltrop fields down 100%, and I want to keep him in it. So our fight ends up getting interrupted by a friend of mine, and I try to tell him that we're fighting, but he doesn't read the chat. So I end up engaging another DK here, and this DK is starting by blocking with his shield, and then he instantly goes to staff. As soon as I see him pull the staff out, I just lay into him with everything that I can, making sure to keep a Cal field on him as well, because I want to burn his stamina right away. And then a second DK comes in here, and I get an interrupt on him as soon as he charges into me, and what happens is he ends up opening his inventory here, and I see that, so I take my opportunity and I knock him back, and I quickly finish him off with my bow, and then I go right back to working this DK, maintaining those cow fields on him as well. And by the looks of it, he seems to have blown his stamina there as he was pulled out of the stun by my cow field, so I just go in with my greatsword and I finish him off. So I actually end up taking a quick AFK here just to go grab some food, I believe. And then I notice my friend's in trouble when I get back, so I start to engage with him as well here. And we are fighting a bevy of DKs in this fight, so I think this is a good way to show how not only to fight a DK one-on-one, but also doing a little bit of group combat with them as well. My friend's taking a ton of pressure. He's doing his best to get out of it, and I'm just trying to apply pressure to the back end of the DKs while they're not paying attention to me. I get really lucky here, and I manage getting a nice takedown in the Cinderstorm. Now that's not ideal as I have the mischance there, but unfortunately for him, I end up landing all of the hits, and the first thing that I do is I pull out of there and I reset, and then I'm trying to kite my way out of this fight, noticing my friend going down. So I pull away, and I manage to kite away from a few DKs. I probably should have run there instead of sitting around the corner, but I end up stopping, thinking that I could re-engage with these guys, and I get surrounded and bursted pretty bad, and that's the end of that fight. Alright, so here is a one-on-one that I have with the DK again, and he seems really intent on the dueling. He's doing the block and jump, so I'm like, alright, we'll have a nice little one-on-one here. And this is another open world fight that I thought I'd highlight because it is against a quite good DK as well. So I start by dropping the cow field, of course, and I'm always keeping my defenses up. I want to keep my immovable blazing shield up as often as I can, and then just kite him. He is running the Engine Guardian set, which is a pain in the ass, and you see me bash his Engine Guardian right there. I don't want to let him get those resources. I want to try to cut him off as much as I can. Fortunately, he's not running the alt-genning sets, which is a little bit difficult. I believe he only has Potentiate on, and I get a great burst off on him there with the Blazing Shield, but I don't actually end up going for the kill because it surprised me too. So I go right back to fighting him. So you see me working around him. I'm really just trying to kite, stay behind him, and hit him with my bow as often as I can. I notice his resources starting to wean as he's not full healing himself as quick as he can, and he pops his ult there, and I see his Engine Guardian, and I bash it again, and he goes pretty aggressive here as he saw my hit points drop, and I think that he thought that was his chance for the kill. His Engine Guardian procs again, so I give it another bash, and then I start plunking him with arrows, knowing that his reflect will go down, and I get a great interrupt there, and then I end up finishing him off, and you see in the final hit there, I did manage to drain his stamina as well. And of course, we get a slash honor for a great fight. And now it's just a little bit of a speed up until I come into my next fight coming up here. And I end up running into a V14 here. And I want to go for the crit rush, but he's actually too close for me. So I swap to my bow right away. And I charge the heavy while he's stunned, seeing as he's not going to break it. And I get an excellent burst off on this guy. And I think that's just a great little showcase of if someone's not prepared for the burst, you can just really get them, and you can nuke them down pretty hard. So at this point here, the other guy that jumped off the cliff there ends up engaging me from stealth, and I have a really great fight against what seems to be a stamina Nightblade build, and I really like how this guy plays as well. So he's doing a good job to kite me, just as I do a great job to kite him too. He's not running immovable, which gives me an innate advantage as I can get at least a little bit of reliable burst off on him in between his rotations. He's swapped to his resto staff and he goes for his heals, and I just maintain that pressure on him. He goes for the fear there, as I did let my immovable drop, but my resources aren't in any kind of a huge strain either, so I just continue the fight, and I continue to try to CC him as soon as his CC immunity drops. I really want to burn through his stamina pool. If I can get some good interrupts on him, it just means that I'll be able to land my burst a little bit easier, and I end up getting the kill there. And as you guys can see, I took a few arrows towards the last end of that fight. I try to survive fighting these guys, stall until my potion comes up, and I end up going for the Purify there instead of the Blazing Shield, and I die. And I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this commentary. I've been getting a lot of questions about how to fight DKs with this build, so I thought I'd post a little video on it. If you guys liked what you saw, feel free to hit like and or subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you later.